I'd like to take our time today to talk a little bit about ritual. My team and I are hearing from you all, our community, some of our clients, that one of the losses many people are experiencing right now is the loss of the memorial or the ritual experience that they had hoped for and that they had planned on because of the social distancing measures that are in place. So perhaps you or someone you know have had a loved one die in the past month, and the ritual that they had asked for or that you had planned for isn't possible in the same way. Or perhaps your loved one died months ago and you had been planning to have a spring memorial and are now having to reimagine that. So during this time, there are 3 things I'd like to offer. The first being some suggestions on how to perhaps attend to this loss of the memorial you had imagined. The second is an opportunity that we will extend to you all to talk back with us a little bit about your reimagining and also to tell us a little bit about your loved one. And then the third offering will be in the description below this video. They're just some simple ideas on how to facilitate some personal rituals for yourself, if that's something that would be useful to your grief process. So in grief work, when we talk about ritual, what we mean is really a symbolic task or a meaningful task. And so that can be something as simple as lighting a candle at a special time of day or on a significant day, all the way to something as elaborate as a large wake and funeral service, and anything in between. So there is a book by Francis Weller. He's a psychotherapist and author, and I'll put a link to the book in the comments. He talks about ritual in this book, and I found this quote to be really beautiful and meaningful to speak to the purpose of ritual in our lives, but most particularly in the grief process. So I'd like to share that. He says, "Ritual is able to hold the long discarded shards of our stories and make them whole again. It has the strength and the elasticity to contain what we cannot contain on our own." So again, it has the strength and the elasticity to contain what we cannot contain on our own. What we see often with clients is that the very personal nature of the rituals they choose or they create with their close circle, the personal nature of that is the elasticity that he talks about in the quote. It's, rituals, there's no one way to have a meaningful ritual. People can, like I said, do very simple things to very elaborate things. They often involve some of or all of our 5 senses, and so they're really an individual process. But he also talks about the strength of ritual, and what I often hear from people is that the predictability of being able to plan an action or being able to plan a moment or an experience, and having that predictable structure of the moment or of the 20 minutes or of the hour helps them feel a sense of strength and containment and support, even if they're just engaged in the ritual on their own. So if you or someone you know, perhaps your family, is in this position right now of needing to figure out a new way of having that strength and that elasticity to support yourselves and to remember your loved one, there are a few things that are helpful to keep in mind. The first thing is giving yourself time to have the many feelings that are probably associated with the need to change the ritual in the first place. So, if your family had planned to have a funeral in the church or the synagogue where your loved one had been a member for decades, and if now the church or the synagogue is closed, that could bring up so many different feelings: frustration, a sense of sorrow, a sense of helplessness. And so before, stepping too quickly into action to make changes and to try to reorient to what is now possible, I would encourage you to just take a few moments and check in with yourself about the feelings that come up with this loss of what you had hoped for and planned. The second thing that I might suggest, something to keep in mind as an avenue for continuing to process the loss associated with reimagining a ritual, is to solicit the help of your deceased loved one. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this in the second part of this video. But what I mean at this moment is for you to, as you're checking in with yourself and your feelings, for you to really bring to mind the person who died and to be able to have a little bit of internal dialogue with them about what you're experiencing. We engage in ritual for ourselves because of that containment and that predictability and that support that they provide. But in grief, we also engage in rituals as a way of remembering and honoring the person who died. So not only is it important for us to attend to ourselves, but it can be important for us to find new moments for reconnecting with and honoring and remembering the person who the ritual is about in the first place. So perhaps you have a few moments when you are experiencing some of those feelings associated with this change, with this loss. Perhaps you have a moment of bringing to mind your loved one, and it could be as simple as, sharing quietly in your heart some of the feelings that you're having because the opportunity that you wanted to have to remember them is having to change. And in that internal dialogue, you might also share with them some of your hopes as you are reimagining this ritual. You may share with them what you've decided to do instead. If you don't know what you'll do instead, you may just ask them if they can be a supportive presence to you as you and your close circle try to figure out what is now possible. So again, the two recommendations being attend to your own feelings and also solicit the support of your loved one's presence. So I would also really like to hear from you all about how you are navigating the need to change rituals at this time. So please feel free to comment below this video. Feel free to comment on the Facebook page where this will be posted, and let us know what you're doing to remember your loved one, what you're doing to honor your own process of mourning. We have a few recommendations in the description of this video of personal rituals that you can engage in at home by yourself or with your close circle, not in place of necessarily a ritual that you had planned and hoped for, but as a way of taking one step in honoring your feelings, in honoring the memory of the person, and in holding space for everything that's changing right now. So we have those recommendations below. The last thing that I want to mention is that we as a department want to invite you to engage in a really special community memorial opportunity that we have. And so what we're inviting you to do is to email us at the information below. Email us a photo of your loved one who you're missing, or loved ones, and a statement from them. So this is asking you to really remember their voice, really remember their wisdom, and make a statement from them, something that you could hear them saying, wisdom that you could hear them offering about this experience of change that we're all in right now. So send us your photos, send us a statement from your loved one, And what we'll be doing is we'll be compiling those images and that wisdom and sharing it with this community here as a way of supporting each other and also as a way of remembering all of the precious ones that you are missing